You remember these shows. The laugh tracks, the life lessons, the moments that scarred us for life. What you might not remember is how these family shows got away with episodes so intense they'd never make it past the pitch meeting today. From abandoned fathers to life-threatening decisions, these weren't just very special episodes. These were the moments that made an entire generation need therapy, and if you were a 90s kid like myself, you already know exactly which ones I'm talking about. So grab your Surge, grab your Gushers, and maybe some tissues, because we're diving into 3 episodes that turned your favorite laugh track comedies into full-on therapy sessions. And if you were a 90s kid, you know exactly what we're talking about. These weren't just very special episodes, these were the moments that defined a generation. Now, for all of you Gen Z viewers out there, let me paint you a picture of 90s television. This was peak TGIF territory, that magical time when ABC owned Friday nights with a lineup that made staying home actually kind of cool. We're talking Boy Meets World, Family Matters, Step by Step, and Hanging with Mr. Cooper all in one night. It was appointment television before Netflix made that phrase obsolete. Most episodes followed the tried and true 90s sitcom playbook. Corey learns about integrity from Mr. Feeney, Urkel breaks something expensive in the Winslow house, Uncle Phil throws Jazz out the front door for the 100th time. Laugh track plays, roll credits. Maybe somebody learns about friendship or not judging a book by its cover along the way. You know, basic stuff that you could watch while demolishing a bag of Doritos 3D, and I will still say that they are the superior Dorito. But then, usually during sweeps weeks, because Nielsen ratings wait for no one, we'd get blindsided by a very special episode. The 90s took what the 80s started and cranked it up to 11. These weren't just teachable moments anymore. They were full-blown emotional roller coasters that left us questioning everything we thought we knew about our favorite characters. And unlike the 80s, where these episodes often felt like after-school specials in disguise, the 90s went for authenticity. No more cheesy PSAs or forced morals. These shows tackled real issues with real emotions. They didn't just want to teach us lessons, they wanted to make us feel something. So before we dive into the episode that had everyone sobbing into their Dunkaroos, drop a comment if you remember where you were when you first watched this. And stick around, the behind-the-scenes story of how this scene was filmed is even more emotional than what made it to air. If you've somehow never seen The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, first of all, who hurt you? Second, here's the deal. Will Smith plays, well, Will Smith, a street-smart kid from West Philadelphia, born and raised and on the playground is where he spent most of his days, who got sent to live with his wealthy aunt and uncle in Bel-Air. The show usually balanced serious moments with comedy, but nothing could prepare us for this episode. Most episodes were all about Will causing chaos in the Banks household, Uncle Phil being exasperated, and Carlton, well, doing the Carlton. The show had tackled serious issues before, racism, class differences, gun violence, but they always managed to find the right balance between message and entertainment. Then came Papa's Got a Brand New Excuse. This episode is where Will's estranged father Lou shows up after 14 years and every viewer collectively learned what it feels like to have their heart ripped out. From the moment Lou Smith appears, there's this tension in the air. You can feel it in every scene, even when they're trying to be lighthearted. The episode builds hope perfectly. Lou seems genuine about wanting to reconnect. Will's defenses come down, bit by bit. Even Uncle Phil, who's skeptical from the start, begins to believe that maybe, just maybe, this could work out. We watch Will transform from the confident, joke-cracking teenager we know into a vulnerable kid who just wants his dad to love him. The writing is masterful here. Every scene with Will and Lou feels real. The awkward pauses, the forced laughter, the way Will tries so hard to impress him. And James Avery as Uncle Phil, man, the way he watches these scenes unfold, you can see the concern in his eyes. He knows what's coming, even if we don't want to believe it. And then the other shoe drops. Lou bails. Again. Follows is possibly the most raw, emotional moment in sitcom history. Will's breakdown isn't just acting, it's therapy on primetime TV. When he screams, "How come he don't want me, man?" it's not just Will Smith delivering lines anymore.
How come he don't want me, man?
It's every kid who's ever felt abandoned. Every person who's ever wondered if they were enough. The scene between Will and Uncle Phil isn't just sad. It's cathartic. There's no music, no fancy camera work, just raw emotion. And when Uncle Phil hugs Will, that wasn't just Uncle Phil anymore. That was every parent figure who's ever had to pick up the pieces someone else left behind. Now, while The Fresh Prince was known for balancing comedy with serious moments, nobody expected Boy Meets World, the cornerstone of ABC's TGIF lineup, to tackle what came next. Boy Meets World was already unique, a show that grew up with its audience, tackling everything from first kisses to existential crises. But then came Chick Like Me, an episode that took on gender inequality and sexual harassment in a way that still feels relevant today. And the crazy part? They managed to do it without losing the show's signature heart and humor. The premise sounds like it could be problematic. Corey decides to dress as a girl for a journalism assignment to understand what his female classmates go through daily. In lesser hands, this could have been 30 minutes of cheap jokes and stereotypes. Instead, what we got was a nuanced look at everyday sexism and harassment that opened a lot of eyes. The episode starts light enough. Corey bumbling around in heels, Sean surprisingly good at applying makeup, a detail that actually becomes important way later, but then things get real. Really real. What makes this episode special is how it builds. Each scene adds another layer. We start with the small things, catcalls, unwanted attention, the constant need to be on guard. Then it escalates to a date situation that crosses several lines. The genius of the episode is that it shows these issues from both perspectives. We see Corey experiencing it firsthand while Topanga and the other female characters share their everyday experiences. But the real MVP here is Ryder Strong as Sean. When he decides to also dress as a girl to help Corey, it could have been played for laughs. Instead, his character's background, growing up in a trailer park often around toxic masculinity, gives him unique insight into the situation. His reaction to experiencing harassment firsthand becomes one of the most powerful moments in the series. Now, before we get into our last episode, quick poll in the comments. Did your parents let you watch Family Matters? Because after this episode, many didn't. Family Matters was the show that gave us Steve Urkel, the most memorable nerd in TV history. Did I do that? Yes you did, Steve. You made us laugh for 9 seasons with your snorting, your suspenders, and your endless pursuit of Laura Winslow's heart. Most episodes featured Steve's wild inventions, his transformation into Stefan Urkel, and enough physical comedy to make Charlie Chaplin proud. The show had a formula, and it worked. Even when they tackled serious issues, they usually did it through the lens of Steve's character, using his outsider status to address things like bullying or prejudice. Then came Life of the Party, where the show tackled drinking and peer pressure. When Laura's friend gets alcohol poisoning at a party, there's no laugh track, no catchphrases, just real consequences. What makes this episode particularly powerful is how it uses the show's established dynamics to tell the story. The episode hits harder because it's not about Steve this time. It's about Laura, the perfect daughter, making choices that could have permanent consequences. We see her struggle with peer pressure, wanting to fit in, and the terrible realization that one bad decision can change everything. The scene where her friend is rushed to the hospital is played completely straight. No humor, no lightness. Just the terrifying reality of what can happen when parties go wrong. But what really sets this episode apart is the aftermath. Instead of wrapping everything up neatly, we see the ripple effects. Laura's guilt, her parents' disappointment, and most importantly, the way it affects her relationship with Steve. His usual antics take on a different tone when he's trying to help her cope with what happened. These episodes did more than just break from their usual format. They showed that sitcoms could tackle serious issues while respecting their audience's intelligence. They weren't just very special episodes, they were moments that defined a generation's understanding of complex issues. What made 90s very special episodes different was their willingness to sit in the discomfort. They didn't always offer neat solutions or happy endings. Sometimes, like in The Fresh Prince, the only resolution was learning to live with the pain. Sometimes, like in Boy Meets World, the lesson was that some problems don't have easy fixes. And sometimes, like in Family Matters, the message was simply that actions have consequences. Drop a comment telling us which 90s very special episode hit you the hardest. Was it when Saved by the Bell tackled addiction? When Step by Step dealt with child abuse? Or maybe when Sister Sister addressed racism? The 90s gave us plenty of options for childhood trauma that we may cover in a future video. And hey, if you're feeling nostalgic for more 90s content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We've got deep dives on everything from Nickelodeon game shows to Saturday morning cartoons coming your way, because sometimes the best way to deal with our collective trauma is to talk about it with strangers on the internet. These weren't just random episodes that happened to get serious. They were moments when our favorite shows decided to stop being just entertainment and start reflecting real life, even when that life wasn't always comfortable to watch. And maybe that's why decades later, we still remember exactly where we were when we first saw them. Share your own memory of these episodes in the comments. Chances are, you're not the only one who still thinks about them. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.